Welcome, I am Chanel. Today I'm doing the VR 21 Tarot questions, which is to Lisa. I will link down below to the original video. Let's just get straight into it, guys. It's 21 prompts to do. So the first prompt is, what is the deck they will have to pry out of your cold, dead hands? And for me, that is the True Black Tarot. This is, if I could only pick one deck to have for the rest of my life, this is the deck. I love everything about this deck. I have waxed lyrical about it nonstop on my channel. Almost every VR hashtag features this deck because it is one of the loves of my life. The quality is outstanding. It's a rose petal that's phenomenal. I have no issues shuffling it. I love the aesthetic of this deck, the way it's written up, the theme, everything about it. Absolutely everything about it. It is a pippish deck, but I don't care. I don't care whatsoever. The figures are absolutely hauntingly beautiful. I love them to bits and pieces. So this is definitely the one deck that I would cling on to with my cold rigor mortis hands. So that is the True Black Tarot. The next prompt is, what is your guilty pleasure deck? And for that, it's Tarot Erotique. Brace yourselves, guys. This has graphic nudity in it. And that's why it's a guilty pleasure. This is a deck that I don't really bust out for anyone. It's sort of a deck that I use by myself when I want to have a giggle and to lighten up the mood. It definitely doesn't take itself seriously. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of cheekiness. And sometimes I just feel like looking at lewd things. And yeah, it always brightens my day, guys. It cheers me up, and it's definitely my guilty pleasure because, like I said, hey Sylvie, thanks bruh. This is not a deck that I'm going to bring to a party to do readings for people. You know, it's like, hey guys, here's a tower of burning dicks. I think this would offend a lot of people's delicate sensibilities, so that's why it's my guilty pleasure deck. The next prompt is, what is a deck that you wished existed? For me, it's Pushing Daisies. I love that show. It got done so dirty by the writer's strike, so it ended after 2 seasons. There were so many things left unanswered. Brian Fuller's amazing. All of his TV shows are amazing. But I particularly love this one because the cast was phenomenal. It had this magical quality to it that it just made me happy. Even though they were investigating dead people, murders, it just brightened my day and it would make my heart swell with joy. And it's just so colorful and lush and whimsical. And I think it would make an amazing deck. There's definitely a huge cast of characters to choose from. And so that is 100% the deck. And I'm like, maybe I should make one myself. I don't know. If I have the time, it is probably something I would consider doing. But, you know, you'd have to get screen grabs. And I'm not the best at doing that. So Pushing Daisies. The next one is, what deck would I give to a beginner? And that is the Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot. Because it is the easiest one. It's one that I learnt with later. I wish I'd gotten it straight out the gate, because having all of the information also on the card helps to really cement that correlation between what the card is and what the meaning is in a few keywords. So they've got the reverse down below. They also include the elemental symbols and the astrological ones. So it's also a lovely quality deck. Beautiful linen cardstock. I think aesthetically it's pretty pleasing to most people. I don't think a lot of people would be turned off by the aesthetic of this deck. I think it's, you know, quite basic in terms of its colors, and its theme is, you know, a bit more closer, I guess, to the imagery you would expect in a traditional Rider-Waite. I love the Judgment one, the angel. So yeah, this is the deck that I would recommend to beginners starting out. Even though it is an indie deck, if I wasn't going to choose an indie deck, I would choose something really basic and simple like the Pulp Girls Tarot, which doesn't have a huge amount of information because you don't want to get overloaded. I think beginning, you just want to learn like the keywords and get the basics down before really diving deep into anything. The next prompt is, what deck do you want to get along with but it just never clicked? And for me, that is the Gentle Tarot. I've already rehomed mine because even though it's beautiful, the quality is amazing, the artist is gorgeous, I just couldn't read with it. We didn't connect. The readings were never aligning for me. They didn't hit. And if I have a tarot deck that actually doesn't read for me, there's no point me keeping it. Yeah, the artwork is gorgeous, but I can just save some of the pictures on my Pinterest and I can view them whenever I like. So I did rehome that deck. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a simple case of we didn't have the chemistry. What deck do I only keep for the art? Okay, so for me, a big one is the Nest of Light. So I love the aesthetics of this deck, the illustrations, the artwork. I love it. It's a deck that I can definitely pathwork with. But because of its theme, like the subject matter of this deck is mostly to do with energy and protecting your energy and energy work. It's not a really divinatory deck for me. It's not really a shadow worky deck for me. So it's not a deck that I use regularly. But even if I never wanted to use it ever, I still won't get rid of it because I love the pictures. They just make me happy. Okay, this one I'm not really that into, but that's just one. They just are really evocative for me, and they appease some inner child within that just loves this illustration style. Like this artist, adore their stuff, adore their work. I really hope that they collaborate on other decks in the future because I would legitimately buy anything that they do. I don't know what it is about the illustration style, but I just really vibe with it, and I would love to see more of it. I remember I actually looked them up immediately, but they hadn't done any other decks at all because I was like, I will buy everything you've ever done the work for. Yes, thank you. It just has a really magical fairy tale but modern day feel to it, and I really appreciate the style. So I can just look at this and I get so much joy just from like I said, just from looking at the cards. The next question is, what deck did you buy just because everybody else did? And that's Woodland Wardens. I haven't worked with it yet, as you can tell. This is a deck that I'm going to be working with this month, and it's not something that appealed to me whatsoever. I'm not really an animal girly at all. And look, I do love the illustration style. It really is gorgeous. It's got that dark cottagecore energy to it. So it was pretty, but I just didn't feel pulled to it. I'm like, I can pass, you know? It's like, I'm not being called. But I just kept seeing it over and over and over again on all of these different tarot tubers channels, all of them singing its praise. And these were tarot tubers who had very vastly different deck collections, but they all had this deck. And I'm like, well, if it can appeal to so many people, there's got to be something about it. So I don't yet quite know what that is. Like I said, aesthetically, it's gorgeous. For a mass market deck, great cardstock. I love the cardstock. There's not many mass market decks whose cardstock I like, but this is fab, this matte. I trimmed mine way down because I wanted a bit more of a pocket-sized deck, but I will be working with this, I think, next week. It's on the roster. So this is one that I was swayed by public opinion with. The next prompt is, what deck is over your head or just baffles you? And for me, that was the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. I'm a noob when it comes to astrology in general, and this was just, I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out really how to use it, what to do with it. It was just too much for me at that time, and so I did pass this on. So I can see that people say it's fantastic, but I just couldn't figure it out. Couldn't connect the dots for me, and couldn't slot it into my practice. So that was that one. The next prompt is, which deck surprised you? And for me, that was the Herbal Astrology. Like, the backs are gorgeous. Another mass market deck. This is a really unassuming deck. It's not flashy. It's a very quiet deck, but the messages, dude, every time I've read with it, I'm like, wow. It's quite profound. It's definitely something that stays with me and really packs a punch. And on that first day I got it, I just read with it over and over and over and over and over again. Any way that you can think of, I'm like, I can't get enough of this. I just want to keep using it again and again and again. I love the artwork. I think it is beautiful. And yeah, I was just thoroughly impressed by this mass market deck. I was like, wow, didn't you just blow me away by surprise? So yeah, this is definitely the deck that surprised me. The next prompt is, what deck doesn't really work for you, but you keep it because it's a collectible? And for me, that is the Threads of Fate Lumen edition. This is artwork. The quality of this deck is outstanding. I love everything visually about this deck. I think it's phenomenal. I think the guidebook is great. For some reason, though, whenever I do read with it, it's just okay. It's a very mid-reading. And that's something that really irks me, because it's like, I want you to be the one. Why are you not the one? You have everything on paper going for you. Like, you've ticked all of my boxes. It's just that when it's time to sit down and play, I'm left a bit meh. Like, yeah, that was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good and wasn't great. Like, why though? Why? I just don't understand. Honestly, don't understand why. This might be a deck that I might actually try and bring out at some point this year once I've gone through all of the backlog of new decks that I have yet to use, to sort of figure it out, because I want this to work, guys. I'm like, maybe we need to, you know, have some counseling together. We need to do some exercises and just figure it out. Figure out what is it that's stopping us from being, you know, twin souls, so to speak. But it's stunning. I will never part with this because it is just so beautiful. And once again, there are very few decks that I would just keep for the beauty alone, but this is one of them. The next prompt is, what is your favorite gilded deck? And for me, it's the Divine Codes, because it has this beautiful, it doesn't show up on camera, mauve or dusty pink glittery matte edging. I absolutely love colored matte edging. This one happens to be one of my favorite colors, almost like lilac is my favorite color, but you know, mauve is pretty close. And the glitter, the little bit of glitter in there is just such a nice touch. So that for me, yeah, in the future, anybody's listening, it's like matte edging, but especially matte, sparkly colored edging, please do. The next prompt is, which deck do you love but you hate the card stock? And it's Messages from the Heart Divine. Guys, this cardstock sucks balls. I hate it. Like, it gives me, I don't even want to touch it. Like, it just feels squeaky, like as in I'm touching a chalkboard. I don't like the tactile sensation at all, but I love this deck. I hate the numerals, but that's another thing. But I love the artwork. I love the write-ups. I love the theme of this deck, but my God, this cardstock, cannot stand it. I know that I could probably scan all these and print them on a different cardstock to keep. Actually, I don't know about that. Can you do that? I don't know, because I'm not selling it, obviously. It's just for me. But yeah, I hate it. I hate it. I just feel like I'm about to paper cut myself as well, and I don't like touching it. So it's like, I don't even know what it is. It's like matte, but it's got like, I don't even want to do that. I can't describe it. It's like when you've just rubbed something out with an eraser and it just feels awful. Number 13 is, what deck gives you the willies? Look, anything that has like really demonic and grotesque imagery, I won't like it. I don't want to be affronted visually. I don't want anything that's confronting visually. It just takes me out of what I'm actually doing, and I'm just focusing too much on the imagery. And then when I go to sleep at night, I'll dream about it. You know, I'll have some lovely nightmares with the figures that I've seen. So I'm just extra sensitive to disturbing visual images, and anything that's got too much darkness, it's just a no. I'm like, I don't want to spend my time focusing on things like that at the moment. I can do shadow work without confronting imagery. And speaking of shadow work, what deck do you like to use for shadow work? And for me, it is the lovely Lantern Oracle. This is an oldie but a goodie, and it does the job. It works. It's got a really nice, moody, somber feel to it, but I think the artwork is lovely. The keywords are fantastic in regards to doing shadow work and looking at those issues or those areas that you need to focus a light on and heal. The book is amazing. It's a lovely, lovely guidebook, and I love everything about this deck, to be honest with you. And yeah, it's definitely when I need to do some shadow work and I'm feeling like there's some stuff that I need to work on, I pull this out. It's a mass market deck too, beautiful quality, and I don't think it's going anywhere. There've been many decks that I've tried to use for shadow work and that may or may not work, but this one is just hitting it every single time. This is about as confronting as I want to go when it comes to imagery, visuals. Okay, the next prompt is, what deck do you like in theory but not in practice? And for me, that is the sparkly Lenormand. Because look, this deck is also adorbs. It is so kawaii and cute. And if I was only going to have one Lenormand deck or Lenormand deck, it's this one. But look, in the beginning when I got it, obviously it was something to learn. It was like a study deck, and I got to learn the Lenormand, and it was interesting. But then I got sick of it real quick. Not sick of it, but I just didn't feel called to use it. I'm like, if I want advice and blah, 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 divination, I'm just going to go for my tarots. Because obviously this too is a lot of, that doesn't come with a guidebook. You sort of have to learn it yourself and attach your own meanings to it. And it's just, like I said, it's not something that I pull out. So I love the idea of it. I love that it's a different modality of like divination and card work. But it's just not something that I've super duper connected to. Like tarot and oracle are always going to be number one. I also use pendulums and dice, so I think they're great too. And then I'd be like, all right, then I'll pull this out. I do sometimes take it with me when I'm on vacation. That tends to be when it comes into play, because I want something itty bitty and I can just be like, tell me about my day today. Like, give me a heads up, because there's already so much unknown. I'm traveling, I'm out of my comfort zone. Give me some guidance on what to expect today. So, but that is the Normand. The next one is, what deck would you never use to read for someone else? For me, that's my personal self-care deck, because I made this for myself. It's very personal. Obviously, it's something that I don't really want to like show around to other people, to have them put their energies on it. This is about how I can take care of myself. So this is my own personal self-care deck with imagery that I have chosen and that resonates with me. I don't want other people like judging it as well. Like, oh my God, what's that for? Like, why that dude? You know? So this is a deck that I would definitely not be using for other people. It's just for me and my practice, and that's why it's a little bit precious. And why I would not use it to read for other people. The next question is, what deck would you never use for yourself? And for me, that would be just a relationship only focused deck. So I've seen, obviously there's people on YouTube who do readings. And so it'll be like, what are their thoughts about you really? Or where's this relationship going? And they use relationship specific decks that are only applicable to like love readings. So that has like no use for me, because I don't need to do that. I can get questions about my relationships using other decks that are not just single use only. So, okay, number 18 is, what deck could you not bring yourself to buy? For me, that's anything that's out of print. It's the pricing. For instance, the Victorian Fairy Tarot, gorgeous, love it, but I'm not paying that money for it. It's just too much of a risk unless I used it in person and I knew, oh, this deck has to be mine, maybe, but to go and roll the dice and pay hundreds of dollars, nah, brah, can't do it. I cannot do it. I have a limit, and I just won't go over that for a deck that is an unknown. The next one is, what is your favorite pip deck? Hey, Sylves. And for me, that is sorry about the cat hair, guys. That is the Spacious Tarot deck. See, as you can see, some of the cards are really pippish, but yeah, it doesn't bother me. I really hate pip decks. I think the only pip decks I really have are this one and the True Black, but it doesn't bother me because I love the quality of both. I love the theme, the imagery, even though it's pippish, it's still beautiful. So, and it's just really, it's the energy, it's the vibes, guys. So yeah, this is definitely my most pippish deck, but it doesn't faze me whatsoever. Because even the mages and the court cards are not super duper detailed, you know, they're still quite minimalistic, but that's why it's called the Spacious Tarot. It's for those times when I don't want to be overloaded with imagery and I want that quietness. Next up, we have, what deck slaps you with the truth? Jeepers creepers. And that, to me, is the Holy Spectrum Infinity Edition. This doesn't come with a guidebook, but this speaks to me. Straight away, as soon as I read with it, I hear the message. I know exactly what keyword is coming to mind immediately. It is loud. It is very clear. It's succinct. There's no sort of ambiguity or vagueness. It is just straightforward, to the point. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It's just spitting facts. It's like a sage, you know. It's harsh but honest. And so that is my choice for that one. And the last prompt 21 is, what is a deck that got away? And this kills me all the time. It's the Embroidered Graveyard Oracle. I saw this, I loved it. I don't know why I didn't buy it. I think I must have just gone on a splurge and thought, no, Chanel, no more, just chill out, don't buy any more decks right now. And then just forgotten about it somehow. Even my girlfriend ended up sending me the link. She's like, do you have this? And I'm like, oh my God, no, I don't, but I absolutely want that deck. And I went and checked it out of stock. They've got the white edition. I don't want the white edition. I want the black edition. And I've emailed them. They keep saying, yeah, it'll come in stock soon. I think that was 6 months ago and it still hasn't come into stock. So that is one that eats me up inside. I still every month go on their website just to have a look. Is it there? I want it so badly. I think I didn't get it too because there weren't really any YouTube videos on it at that time. And I wanted more information. Like some people when they do walkthroughs don't really read from the guidebook, and that was a big factor for me. I'm like, how does it read? What are they writing? What's the literature like? So I think that's why I passed on it originally and was going to wait, and then I just forgot about it. I just plain forgot. But yeah, every single month I go and check it out. So it pains me. There's no stores in Australia that have it in stock. And yeah, it's just, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And I just hope to get it because it seems like it's definitely up my alley. And I love what I've heard about it and seen from other people's channels now. But I just can't seem to get my hands on it, my dudes. I'm hoping that eventually I will. But I don't know. It might go the way of the Victorian Fairy Tarot. It's just like that unicorn deck that got away. But that's everything for this hashtag. I have walkthroughs on every single one of the decks that I talked about today if you wanted to check one out. I hope that wherever you are having a magical morning, afternoon, or evening. And as always, stay wild, Star Child.